The Trump administration has targeted a number of environmental regulations that protect the nation from climate crisis. Harvard's law school rollback tracker has counted about 85 of them. Now, existing environmental regulations are meant to ensure protections like preventing fossil fuel pollution from harming the air, protecting land and animals from oil and gas drilling, and limiting toxic waste runoff into our water. It was a busy year in politics, so some of these things might have happened while you weren't looking. But let me break down the Trump administration's 5 environmental rollbacks, at least the 5 biggest ones in 2019. Let's start here. The administration announced plans to significantly weaken, regulations on methane emissions. Keep in mind, methane is dangerous and accelerates global warming. The EPA also repealed a major Obama-era clean water regulation, which curbed the amount of pollution and chemicals in the country's rivers and lakes, which basically means more dirty water. The administration also made changes to how the Endangered Species Act is enforced. It's a move that would make it harder to protect wildlife from the threats of global warming, and it also replaced an Obama-era regulation to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by implementing a rule that would keep coal-powered plants open longer. And last but not least, the White House also prepared to eliminate an Obama-era rule restricting automobile pollution, arguing that the move would boost the economy. Automobiles account for nearly 1/5 of all U.S. global warming gas emissions. So why is President Trump trying to block so many environmental regulations? For one, the administration, which once branded fossil fuels as, quote, molecules of U.S. freedom, views many of these protections as a financial burden for fossil fuel companies. Plus, the president himself has declared human-made climate change to be a hoax. And what's more, this year, President Trump officially withdrew the United States from the Paris Climate Accord, the only country in the world to withdraw. He also mocked 16-year-old climate activist Greta Thunberg a day after she was named Time Person of the Year. Joining me now is the founder of Our Daily Planet, a former deputy administrator of NOAA during the Obama administration, Monica Medina. Monica helped us organize MSNBC's Climate Forum with the 2020 Democratic presidential candidates. Monica, of the things that I listed, you argue that 2 of them are the most damaging, the methane gas rule and the automobile rollbacks. Let's start with methane gas. It's actually not something a lot of people follow closely. Why do you think this happened, and what's your concern about it?
It happened because the Trump administration is in the pocket of the oil and gas industry, and they were determined to cut back on rules and regulations that actually are so important for public health and safety. This one is one that most people don't really know about, but is really important as we ramp up natural gas as a bridge fuel to the future. This one allows for all kinds of accidental emissions, and we just learned that in Ohio, we had the largest leak ever recorded, and now we can see them from space, and it's just a much bigger problem than we knew about. And we're wasting gas. We're just letting it go out into the atmosphere with not much protection at all. Yeah, more is released in Texas on a daily basis than it would take to heat all of Texas's houses. Let's talk about cars. You and I talked about this a lot. This is the low-hanging fruit, right? We burn a quarter of the world's oil just on driving in this country. This was one that was, going in the right direction. Yeah, we were headed in the right direction under the Obama administration. We would have had fuel efficiency standards at 43 miles per gallon by 2025. And now the Trump administration has pushed them back to 29 miles per gallon. We're holding there. We've thrown the car in reverse. We were on a track to be the leader in the world in terms of developing and batteries and storage for electric vehicles and really growing that market. We let the tax breaks go for those vehicles. So even the auto industry wanted to increase the number that they could sell with tax advantage, and the Trump administration let that go at the end of this year. So we have really gone in the wrong direction on clean cars. So people would be mistaken, would be forgiven if they thought that the U.S. pulled out of the Climate Paris Accord some time ago because Trump gave that very dark speech about how the world was trying to control America a couple of years ago. But we actually just pulled out of it this year. And again, you have made the point, as have many experts on climate, that this is really important. U.S. leadership to the world is more important than a lot of people think it might be. Our example is so important. We are the second largest emitter and the largest per capita emitter, and we cannot afford to be falling behind here. The rest of the world is wanting to go ahead, and we are in these negotiations still, we won't actually be pulled out of them until the end of this year because you have to give notice. But the U.S. is actually being a drag on the negotiations by trying to water them down while we're still a member. So it's sort of a double bad. Not only are we leaving, not only are we going to give up our seat at the table and our role as a leader, we are actually dragging down the negotiations now. And there'll be several important meetings, interim meetings between now and the next climate negotiation in November of next year. And the U.S. could be very detrimental to those negotiations if we don't change leadership and change direction.
The good news, of course, is that everybody's talking about this. So hopefully that it represents a better 2020 for the climate. Monica, thanks for your hard work this last year. Monica is a co-founder and publisher of Our Daily Planet, former deputy administrator of NOAA during the Obama administration. Coming next, we're going to